Mount Bachelor in Central Oregon in the United States of America is a great mountain for skiers and snowboarders seeking varied terrain, reliable snowfall, and a scenic alpine environment. Although it has a few quirks you'll need to deal with, its unique volcanic geography and diverse runs make it a true standout destination in the Pacific Northwest. In this video, I'll take you around Mount Bachelor, talk about its highs and lows, and give you some pointers on maximizing your visit. First, a full disclosure. I learned to ski at Mount Bachelor way back in the late 1970s when I was 8 years old, and lift tickets at that time were under 20 bucks a day. I have a ton of priceless memories there. Although I no longer live in Oregon, I've been a regular visit almost every year since. Mount Bachelor is located in Central Oregon, about 20 miles, 35 kilometers west of Bend, in the Deschutes National Forest. It's part of the Cascade Range, and it's a dormant stratovolcano. When all its lifts are open, the mountain offers over 4,300 acres of skiable terrain, making it one of the largest ski areas in the United States. But keep in mind that if the summit lift is closed, that acreage drops significantly. The mountain caters to all skill levels, with 15% beginner, 25% intermediate, 35% advanced, and 25% expert runs. Skiers and snowboarders love the cruising runs, some up to 4 miles long, and the unique 360-degree skiing from the summit. With a vertical drop of over 3,300 feet, there's plenty of room to explore. Snowfall averages over 460 inches a year, and it's known for being light and dry, and the ski season typically stretches from late November to May, one of the longest in the region. The resort's 12 lifts, including 7 high-speed quad or 6s, make it easy to access the terrain. For Nordic skiing fans, there's over 56 kilometers of groomed trails. For snowboarders and freestyle skiers, there's numerous terrain parks run by Woodward that are filled with all sizes of jumps, rails, and obstacles. Riders with backcountry experience can take advantage of hike-to terrain and natural volcanic features. No matter your level, though, the views of the Cascade Range, including Broken Top and the Three Sisters, are absolutely stunning. That being said, it's good to be aware of a few things. Mount Bachelor is named that because of its isolation from the nearby Three Sisters peaks, so it can occasionally be subjected to strong winds, especially up top. So checking the weather before you go is a very smart move. Last year when I was there during my winter holiday, they were having over 60-mile-per-hour winds at mid-mountain and 100-mile-per-hour winds at the summit. Needless to say, I decided not to drive up that day. During weekdays in the regular season, there's typically no significant lift lines, but weekends and holidays can get busy. So when driving, I generally prefer to get up there early to get a good parking spot and be one of the first up the lifts. Lift tickets, especially at peak times, are on the pricey side, but booking as far in advance as possible will save you some money. And as I mentioned before, it is affiliated with the IKONPASS and gives holders up to 7 days of riding. As a side note, if you have an IKONPASS, be sure to check out my videos on numerous other IKON-accepting ski resorts. When I was at Mount Bachelor during the 2024 Christmas break, the lines weren't that bad, most of the time under 5 minutes, except on the day when they had 18 inches of fresh snow and bluebird skies. That day, during the peak times from 10 to about 2, I waited 30 minutes plus a few times, even in the singles lines. And once I was in line at the Northwest Express lift and it broke down, necessitating a 20-minute uphill hike to the Outback lift. On the plus side, they had an employee handing out free one-day lift ticket coupons to compensate those that had to hike. If you already have your lift passes and gear and are packing your own lunch, definitely consider parking near the Skyliner lift base. There's no lodge there, but you'll be able to park right next to the run, so no schlepping your gear. If you need to get your pass or rentals and are arriving relatively early, the Sunrise Lodge has 3 kind of small parking lots and offers a less hassled experience than the main base lodge. The main base lodge has ski school, daycare, and all of the other facilities you'd expect. The main lodge also has overnight powered and non-powered RV spots, but you need to reserve and pay for those in advance. Every night, Mount Bachelor grooms all of its beginner and intermediate trails and some of its advanced trails as well. So there's plenty of fast cruising corduroy when there's no new snow. But the mountain really excels when it comes to tree riding, especially when there's fresh snow. The large, well-spaced pines all over the mountain provide countless gullies, steeps, glades, and unmarked trails, which are all in bounds. Unfortunately, due to high winds, the summit lift wasn't open during my visits this year. However, I particularly liked the tree riding on Outback and Northwest Express lifts and the East Bowls to the left of the top of the Cloud Chaser lift. These are all expert-only runs, but if you're an intermediate rider, you can get a taste of some of the great tree riding right alongside most runs on the mountain to build your skills. So with all these great things going for it, why is it that, unless you're from the Pacific Northwest, you've probably never even heard of Mount Bachelor? Well, it is a bit of a trek to get to, being about a 3.5-hour drive from Portland and a 45-minute drive from the nearest airport of Redmond. Also, keep in mind that like most ski areas in the Pacific Northwest, it's located on national forest land, so you won't find any lodging or towns near the lodges or lifts. So you'll definitely be driving to and from the slopes. Visitors typically stay about 30 minutes away in the town of Bend or the resort community of Sun River. Bend offers a much more lively après and restaurant scene, but if you're with a family or a large group, Sun River has a huge selection of condos and homes you can rent, and the road from Sun River to the mountain is typically less congested than the route from Bend. So how would I describe Mount Bachelor? Well, here's a quick analogy. When traveling in Europe, a sage piece of traveler's advice is to never eat at restaurants on the main square or by a major attraction. Instead, walk at least 5 blocks and you'll find that's where the local gems start to appear. Most tourists just don't want to make the extra effort to get there. Compared to well-known Rockies resorts with large base villages where you can stay slopeside, Mount Bachelor is definitely a ways off the main square. It requires some effort to get there, but it's definitely a local gem and has a lot of wonderful things going for it. Certainly enough to draw me back to ride almost every year since the late 1970s. I bet you'd love it as well. Thanks for tuning in. A subscribe is truly appreciated and helps me to continue the channel.